Another thing I wanted to share is that since I got into the what's the purpose in this life of what my soul comes here to do, that's usually your Rahu and the whatever sign and house it is in. And I think it makes sense to share the axis of it, which is the Ketu. So mine is in Aquarius, either astrology, whether Western or Vedic astrology. It is in different houses though, depending on each one of them. But it basically says the same thing in either system. And so I want to go into that, the wounds, and why your soul creates this axis in this another life, this one. So basically, mine is in Aquarius. In the Vedic chart, it's with Jupiter in the 9th house. This means that some of the wounds that I've experienced is so basically it means that having Ketu in Aquarius means that, and in the 9th house it means that, or 8th, depending on which system, it basically means that I have a hover habit and tendency of becoming entangled with people or enmeshed. I have always had an easy time of basically belonging to a group, and that for me felt very safe. I can very easily just adapt myself to whatever is the best thing for the group and to keep the harmony within the group. And I've always done that. Since I was a child, like I would just not even think about what I want to do necessarily, but just want to overly accommodate to everyone else. And it doesn't mean that I won't speak my mind or that I don't have an opinion about things and that I don't have any sort of personality in my interactions with people, but it means like when it comes to desires and needs, I have a habit of adjusting to other people's needs before I even tap into what are mine. What do I want to eat? And if no one else wants to eat that, or not even expressing it, if I do it these days, but like before, I remember as a child I was so afraid of, I just didn't want to disrupt the harmony of the group, and so I would act and react in the ways that would keep the harmony of the group and my harmony with those people, and I didn't want to have conflict of interest, I guess. It's funny now that I think about it, but yeah, that is true. I overly accommodate to other people and I become too enmeshed into the group that I sort of dissolve who I am into that group in a way. And so what has happened? This is interesting. So basically, since I was a child, one thing that has happened is I started off in sort of belonging to a group, and as for like in friendships, and then it just dismantles itself. And since that one dismantled itself, I get close to people and then stop being as close anymore, or just sort of detach from them. And I think one of the things is because because I have this desire to belong somewhere and to be part of something. I would always enmesh with people just because that's what was around me. But over time, I would start to feel more and more and more disconnected, because who they are, or the way that they express themselves, or their beliefs, or their perspectives in life is just so far different from mine. And although I can accommodate to them and just to have this harmony in this relationship with them, this growing unsatisfaction starts to build up within me, and I start to feel like detaching, because I'm not feeling like those conversations or the environments are aligning with who I am or who I want to be anymore. And I think that's where the axis started to create, is like, yeah, you belong, but then you just start to feel bad because there is no you in that dynamic, in a sense. And it's not as literal as it might seem when I'm talking about this, but it is more like emotional based, kind of. And so, in my dynamics with people, one thing that I'm becoming extremely aware of is how much I've always felt other people's emotions very deeply, but I've never realized how much I would feel guilty out of someone else's response, or sadness out of something that is my truth. I just never wanted to create any bad emotion in anyone else. I would feel responsible for it, as if I'm responsible for someone else's feelings, and that's just not true. Our actions do have consequences, but the way that we feel, no matter what someone else does to us or what that we do to us, like it's our responsibility to handle it and to manage it and to know what we want to do with it. It's not someone else. But I felt that way. I felt like I was always managing how other people could feel about me. And I always wanted it to be good. I always wanted it to be a good experience. But when you're doing that out of conscious awareness, you're trying to influence them to perceive you in a certain way, and you're presenting yourself through a filter, and you're not allowing them to see the full spectrum of you and to accept you for the full spectrum of who you are. And then, because you can't do that for too long, you start to feel unsatisfied and not good in life, because you sort of erase yourself. And it's never that deep, because who they knew was not the full spectrum of you. Not all of your emotions, desires, needs, wants in your own life, for your own life. So, I've been changing over the years, and it's not like I've been like this up to this point. Like, it's been changing. Every interaction that I have and friendship that has come up into my life, or people in general, changes me in some sort of way, and I become more aware of each thing. But that is something that has been coming up recently in a new layer. Like, I was aware of it, but it's feeling much more deep now and calling in a change that didn't feel like before. Yeah, so I would feel before. For example, I want to do something. There's something that arises within my heart, that there's something that I feel like doing on a weekend. And someone else comes to me and they present a different idea. This is what I want to do this weekend. And before, I would just mesh with it because I wanted to connect with that person and I wanted to feel connected to someone else. I would just go along with it. Okay, so we'll just do what you're saying in the way that you're saying. I wouldn't say it like this, but like it would basically be that. And I enjoy myself. Like I can make good of any situation and find joy in anything that I do, but then there's this little insatisfaction in me when it's all over, that it's like, well, yeah, it was fun, but I also have my own desires, and I feel like I didn't express myself in that way, and then because I didn't, that person will never know that that was my full spectrum of self. And so these past few weeks I've been really recognizing and seeing that happening, of like there's something I want to do and someone else presents me what their expectation. Sometimes it's depending on the dynamics, or if it's family or whatever it might be, like this expectation of what they want from you or what they are expecting of you providing for them in service or in doing something. And when you challenge that, no, I actually want to do something different, and that person has an overreaction and or feels sad and gets angry, or my immediate reaction, I felt it like when that happened recently, I was like, oh, this person is flipping out on me because I didn't meet their needs and expectations, and I don't like this. I don't like having this person having such a huge reaction, negative, such a like intense reaction, as if my truth and my desires is something that it's bothering them in a way that it's not good, and that I've done something bad because of it, because of having a different want and a different need and a different perspective in life. And I observe that in myself, like, oh my gosh, like this feels so uncomfortable. And I became very aware of it, and I was just like, yeah, there's nothing I can do. I can't try to fix someone else's emotion. Plus, why is me having a desire and my own want something to be seen as something wrong, or to provoke sadness or anger in someone else? They're free to feel that, but I'm not responsible for that feeling because I just spoke my truth. I didn't offend anyone. I was literally just communicating that I was thinking in a different way of what I wanted to do with my time. So that was a huge lesson that happened. Just the fact that I became aware of, and I stopped to tap into what I was feeling in that moment instead of reacting right away, and I just stopped and I just listened, and I reassured myself, like, it's okay. It's okay to have your own wants and your own needs and your own desires, and it's okay that that doesn't that doesn't mirror what someone else wants or needs. And it's not bad or wrong of you to have your own self and your own truth. And it doesn't have to be validated by someone else in order to be true and valid and good. Because I think I had a lot of the what's good and what's bad. Although I'm aware of like those spectrums and I don't see reality in that way in many aspects, I will admit that within me, I had this thing of really wanting to be good, because I saw that if anything that I do provokes a negative emotion in someone else, then I did something wrong and that I was bad. But that's not true. Your actions do have consequences, and each one of us should always act in a way that feels aligned in truth with your soul. And shouldn't go out to provoke bad feelings on someone else or to harm them consciously. But the fact of me just having my own identity and my own wants and desires is not a reason for anyone else to feel upset. They're free to do so, but it doesn't mean that what I'm doing or expressing is anything wrong, because it's not. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it for this one. Do I have anything else to share about it? Let me see. As a summary then, for my own self, I will say this. What you feel and what you want is valid. If it doesn't mesh with someone else's, that's okay. In the same way you learn how to deal with your own emotions without making anyone else responsible for them, and expressing whatever it might need to be expressed, you are good enough, just the way you are. And if anyone leaves your life because you embody more of your sovereignty in yourself, then it just means that what they liked was not the real you. It was a part of you, a side of you, a piece, but not the whole of you. And that's okay. And doesn't mean that they're wrong or bad, and it doesn't mean that you're wrong or that you're bad. It just means that the more you embody the full spectrum of you, the more you attract and have surrounding you people who resonate with the full spectrum of you, and not just one part of it, or a part of it that always abides to what they want. Yeah.